The opening scene features a young woman named Kim Oh-young who lives in a low-rent apartment with her younger sister Donbi. The two became orphans when their parents passed away several years ago in a fatal crash, while Young, who's only 23 years old, is responsible for taking care of herself as well as her 8-year-old sister. However, things are not so simple. Because she lacks a bachelor's degree, Young only works part-time at a coffee shop. She is unable to pay the apartment's rent on time due to the financial crisis and it is already past due. As a result, the siblings are evicted by the landlord who gives them only a week to pay the rent. Or else they must move out. The next day, on our way to work, Aang comes across Donbi in a park. When she sees the little girl fighting with her friends, she approaches them to inquire about the matter. It turns out that Donbi's friends are mocking her for not having a father. As expected, this enrages Young and she yells at the children, scaring them away. Later, at work, Young confides in her male best friend, Yoon Joo-hoo, about her ongoing problems. Hearing this, he offers to let them stay at his place for free, but Young politely declines because she does not want him to bother her. Meanwhile, we see Donbi, who plasters herself against a restaurant window, watching a family eat their meal happily. She is particularly fascinated with how the father treats his daughter. A few moments later, the restaurant owner walks out and scolds her for upsetting the customers. At the same time, a sharp-dressed handsome man named Soo-song appears and defends Donbi. He introduces himself as the kid's uncle and treats her to a delicious lunch. After finishing the meal, Donbi explains to Yoo-song that she stared inside the restaurant not because of the food, but because she was envious of the little girl. She then reveals that she is an orphan who desperately wishes to have a father by her side. Hearing this, Yoo-song becomes emotional. The next day at work, Yoo-song and his secretary approach Young and offer her a deal to adopt the two sisters. Being the CEO of a large company, as Yoo-song is not married and doesn't have a daughter, the company is willing to transfer its common stock to the closest relative who does have a daughter. However, the will does not specify that the daughter must be a biological offspring, so Yoo-song is considering adopting a girl. In the evening, Aang discusses the agreement with Joo-hoo, who was equally surprised to learn that a random person wants to financially support the two sisters. He doesn't trust Yoo-song, as he is a complete stranger to them, so he advises her to reject the offer. Regardless, Young has little choice other than to accept it because she is in serious financial trouble. In the next scene, Young seems to have made the decision as she is seen moving into Yoo-song's place with Donbi. However, living together does not appear to be easy for them. For the first few days, Young and Yoo-song have trouble getting along. So one evening while Zombie is away, they try to iron out their differences. They establish several rules such as not touching each other's belongings, not interfering with each other's lifestyle and prohibiting excessive noise in the process of getting to know each other. We learn that both Young and Yoo-song are terrified of bugs when they see a moth that you have to summon all their courage just to take it out. After trying for a while, they somehow manage to kill it, but they end up falling onto the bed with Yoo-song above her, creating an awkward situation for both of them. One day Young is drying her clothes when Yoo-song's uncle arrives. He is taken aback to see a woman with Yoo-song, so he wastes no time asking if she is his girlfriend. Yoo-song, who doesn't want the public to know about his relationship with the two sisters, lies that Young is his maid who works at his house. Following this, Yoo-song feels bad and apologizes to her for calling her a housemate. Even though she is hurt, she doesn't let it show and tells him that she is fine. The next day, Young meets Joo-ho at a restaurant and admits that she and her sister are already living at Yoo-song's place. Hearing this, Joo-ho becomes annoyed, but he is powerless to intervene. She claims she is only thinking of her little sister, who desperately wanted a father figure. One day, Young is at work when two women arrive and complain about Donbi hitting their children on a field trip. Before she has a chance to respond, Young is happy to have his support and wonders why her heart trembles every time he shows up in front of her. Later that night she returns home and expresses her gratitude to Yoo-song for defending her from the obnoxious women. As the days pass, the relationship between Young and Yoo-song becomes deeper. One day they go to visit a place together and have a heart-to-heart conversation. During this, All Young asks why he brought her there, and Yusong cheesily replies that he wants to be with her. This makes All Young realize that her heart has been pounding because she is falling in love with him. Yusong goes on to tell her about himself, saying that he used to not listen to others and that he was always on the verge of losing everything. Since he grew up without parents, he always needed to be on the edge. However, his late grandmother helped him to become a strong man while also loving him unconditionally. After listening to his story, AW Young can feel his soft heart inside his tough personality. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to the two, someone is secretly photographing them from afar. Not only in that place, but the person also follows them to their house and takes pictures of them with Donbi, who appears to be very happy. One day, A Young gets ready to attend a friend's wedding by wearing a lovely dress. Yusong is taken aback when he sees her in that dress. She then attends the wedding, and as she walks home, she is accompanied by Juhu. On their way, Ayoung has difficulty walking in her heels. When her best friend notices this, he pulls a pair of light slippers from his bag and offers them to her. Juhu's action and concern for All Young indicate that he has feelings for her, but he never expresses them in front of her. Not long after, All Young gets a notification on her phone, and upon checking it, she is shocked to learn that an article about herself, a new song, has gone viral on social media. This makes her feel guilty because the whole scandal will undoubtedly harm Yusong's company. On the other hand, Juhu is concerned about the safety of the sisters because they will now come under constant scrutiny. Tries to cheer All Young up by saying that it's not her fault. In the midst of all of this, she received several phone calls from Yusong, but she lacks the courage to face him at this time. A short while later, Yusong manages to locate Aoyong and seems concerned about her condition. But before he can say anything, Juhu The latter admits that he has been in love with her for 7 years, but he did not have the courage to tell her. All Young looks pensive when she hears this because she had no idea about his feelings for her. She states that she regards him as a special person whom she can always rely on. However, A Young cannot be with him because she loves someone else. While saying this, she feels bad for Juho because he has been so good to her all this time. However, she also believes that telling the truth is much better rather than holding on to false hope. After learning this, Juhu is heartbroken, but he still encourages her to follow her heart. Ayoung then rushes over to Yu Song, who is overjoyed to see her come back. He admits at the moment he saw her, his heart began to flutter. Initially he was afraid of changing himself, but he is glad to do so for her now. Hearing this, she unexpectedly kisses him, finally starting their relationship. Ayoung also says that she is willing to wait for him until he resolves the issues that involve their relationship and the negative impact on the company. As a result, the two of them decide to separate until everything settles back to normal. A month passes and All Young has returned to her regular life, and introduces himself as her father. He also tells Donbi about a bougie camp with a pool, making her friends envious. In the end, Yusong finally returns to Ah Young and is overjoyed to see her. He gives her a card, stating that he is looking for someone special to spend the rest of his life with. The show ends as the two hug each other affectionately, promising to stay by each other's side forever.